Well, with me is the BBC's Laura Westbrook, a former Hong Kong reporter. And Laura, you covered those elections for us. And we were saying before the programme, so much pressure to stop one speech.
Yeah, given that this was a speech by a leader of quite a small political party, this probably would have flown under the radar if it hadn't have been for the reaction from CY Leung, which you started off by in your intro there, where he had this veiled threat almost in this open letter saying that the Foreign Correspondents Club pays a token rent. It actually pays 70,000 US dollars a month. And then you had the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Hong Kong, which also put out a statement, which is also quite unusual, and saying that they didn't consider this to be freedom of speech. They likened him speaking to having Nazis speak in Germany, to having terrorists speak in the United States. So they were putting a lot of pressure on the Foreign Correspondents Club. But, you know, as the talk went ahead, and they responded by saying that Hong Kong has these freedom of speech which are enshrined in their constitution, and that they were going to let him speak. They've let supporters of the Communist Party speak. They've let supporters and advocates of Brexit speak. So for them, this was very much an issue of freedom of speech, and they were going to let this go ahead.
Let's get the context, because his party is actually not that well supported in Hong Kong.
Oh yes, let's be clear. The people who support independence in Hong Kong, they're not the majority. He is the leader of a very small political party. They have dozens of supporters. There really isn't a lot of support for independence in Hong Kong, and he comes from this sort of fringe political party. But what has thrust him into the spotlight here is that Hong Kong, the authorities, are considering banning his party. And if they do that, that would be the first time that they ban a political party since 1997. And the reason why they're doing that, it's under this law which is from the colonial era, and it's under national security. So they very much see this as being a threat to national security.
And if we put that in context, there is a fear expressed by many, whether it be lawyers or booksellers or activists in Hong Kong, that China is gradually tightening its grip and changing what Hong Kong used to be like.
Yeah, when I was in Hong Kong during the elections, what was so surprising and unprecedented was you saw these young pro-democracy activists who then got elected into parliament, but for the first time you saw parties advocating for independence from China. And that really has only come about in the last few years. And since the 2016, where you had these independence parties and independence candidates, Hong Kong has started cracking down on them and banning them from even being candidates to run for office. So Andy Chan would say this erosion of freedoms happening in Hong Kong, and for him that's a real worry.
And that's the story that we'll continue to cover. Laura, thanks very much.